And we're back once again with the daily space weather. Check it out. We got multiple coronal mass ejections to show you today. An increase in the radial flux, increase in the sunspot number, and more. And by the way, thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. The first CME came from the southwestern limb, that area right down there. You can see that material blasted out there on the SDO. That's the last 24 hours of activity. We put up two wavelengths there, 304 plus 171 angstroms. The second CME yesterday came from the northeastern limb. It was associated with an M-class flare also. There you go, whoops, a bunch of material. Blasting out, the peak flux of that flare was around 1810 universal time. Here's your colorized magnetogram from yesterday and today. We'll let you know whether those CMEs are likely to be earthly directed or not later in the video. There's your SDO intensitygram and quite a large number of sunspots at the moment. Again, you'll see this number rise today as there's been some growth down here in the southeastern limb. Also, this near equatorial sunspot group has gained some ombre in the last 24 hours. By the way, thanks for tuning into the content. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. It's only the most comprehensive space weather and most detailed imagery you'll find of the sun anywhere on the internet. So once again, thanks for tuning in and putting up with the pathetic censorship on the platform at YouTube. Press like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Leave us a comment. Tell your friends and foes about us. We are also on Twitter. If you don't have an account on Twitter, go get one. Get an account on Twitter. It's free. Why not? Hold big tech accountable for their own failures. Twitter.com/smashomash. Speak truth to power over there. Today's featured product is on our bestseller list. I think it's the 6th bestseller, 5th bestseller. And while I'm not wearing it today, it is Universum Liberate, because we're not big on tyranny. We're kind of we're anti-tyranny on the channel. That's the Google Bias product. Not today's featured product, but it's what I am wearing. And we would say to you, Universum Liberate. Hold the most evil companies in the history of mankind accountable for their failures. Markets hold them accountable. We expect them to be. Accountability always comes. Let's just put it that way, folks. And if I could wave my magic wand, to quote Geddy Lee, I'd set everyone free. So check out the merch. Universum Liberate is the motto of the Galactic Federation Special Forces. The symbolism represents the Milky Way galaxy, signal strength and security, and instantaneous galactic scale reach. The print quality is very high. So check it out. You can find the merch shop links below the video, and on the home page, it'll be listed in order of best-selling if you follow those links. There's our homepage, smashomash.com, and welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Again, congratulations on realizing that the channel exists. If you're having trouble finding our videos, don't feel badly. We often have trouble finding our own content. If you want to support the channel, become a member of the Smash team. If you want to support your own health, click on the SureMed link below the video or on the home page and join the American Better Health Organization. It's not insurance, it's a nonprofit organization, although membership in the SureMed, otherwise known as American Better Health Organization, will allow you to pick up some insurance coverage only available to group members. So check that out if you're looking for things like hospital indemnity insurance, accident insurance, critical illness. The base membership gives you all kinds of things like doctors by phone, veterinarians by phone, dental discounts, vision discounts, discounts on pharmaceuticals, and more. You want to support the channel via subscription services. Become a member of the Smash Team at the Gold or Silver Smash Team level. The best value is the Gold annual paid-up subscription. It's equivalent to getting 4 months at no charge because of the complimentary merch and the free month. Smashamash.com/SmashTeam. We also send out email alerts. There's even a bronze level member levels for those of you who are unwilling to open your cobweb-encrusted wallets and send us a few dollars per month, since we make just this side of nothing to put the content on YouTube. And let's take a look at what volcanoes have been erupting in the past 24 hours. They include Klyuchevskoye, although the volcanic ash there not visible in satellite imagery. Also Shiveluch. And Shiveluch is also the same scenario. Must be cloudy over Kamchatka. Abiko on Paramashir Island exploding. Flight level 150 over Abiko. Sakurajima. Flight level 080 over Sakurajima. Subanose-jima erupted. 6,000-foot ash plume from Subanose-jima. Semeru exploding. It's a discrete volcanic ash cloud. Discrete meaning it's at over 14,000 feet of altitude. Doesn't seem discrete to me. Flight level 140 over East Java from Semeru. Popocatépetl exploding in central Mexico. 20,000-foot ash plume. Sangay exploding in Ecuador. 21,000-foot ash plume. Revenador exploding in Ecuador. Flight level 150, 15,000-foot ash plume, and Sabancaya exploding as well. 24,000-foot plume of volcanic ash coming from Sabancaya over Peru. Flight level 240, don't pole vault the caldera. Regarding seismic activity, 2 strong quakes here in the past 24 hours. The first one was this 6.2 off the coast of Indonesia. Indonesia? There's a location of that 6.2 magnitude quake there. That came in at 2052 Universal Time last night. The other 6+ magnitude quake was off the coast of Chile. There's a location of that one. That quake came in at 2253 Universal Time last night. And let's just scroll up the list here. If we miss anything, let us know in the comments what we've missed. We don't want to spend too much time on it as there's too many exciting space weather and Earth weather events occurring. Mexico had a 5.2. Fiji had a 5.4. The Banda Sea had a 5.2. So quite a lot of quakes there around the Pacific Rim especially. The Ring of Fire. And let's continue back to space. Space, a frontier. These are the voyages of the 10.7 centimeter radial flux, which have risen to 146 solar flux units. There is the 1-year chart to put that in context. The black line here is the radial flux, and if you're paying attention, you can see how proportional that is to sunspot number. The radial flux rises and falls with the sunspot number. Next, looking at the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard here, NOAA forecasting possible geomagnetic unrest through about midday tomorrow, Sunday, September 25th. So we'll see what happens here. So far, the Coronal Hole high-speed stream has been slow and diffuse. So not a lot of fireworks from that. We never saw this period of geomagnetic storm. We did only see a brief period of geomagnetic unrest. We'll get to that momentarily. First, the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. That model is the space weather modeling framework of magnetohydrodynamic pressure out to about 12 Earth diameters. We'll let her play all the way through there as it refreshed. That way we're showing you the latest data. Our data is later. So things pretty steady over there. Looking like they're actually subsiding a little bit over the past 4 hours. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. There were probably some great aurorae, and we'll be sharing any of those images on Twitter. So again, follow us over there at twitter.com/smashomash. It's the social media that we use the most, although we are on all kinds of other platforms. Again, find the links to all of that on the homepage at smashomash.com. Those are the most likely places to see power line induction, rail line induction, pipeline induction, and the aurora. Geospace delta B refers to changes to Earth's magnetic field. Earth's B field, the field that goes through the magnet, that magnet being Earth. So there you go. KP index did make it to 4 there. Geomagnetic unrest conditions for a brief period early this morning. Besides that, geomagnetic calm conditions, KP2 at the moment. Here is the real-time solar wind, and it never got above 500 there. It got to 470, about 480 there. 480 kilometers per second for a brief period. Since then, it's been subsiding, so it's been a pretty weak coronal hole high-speed stream. Solar wind density only 2.67 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed 423 kilometers per second. Let's look at magnetic data. Here are the GOES magnetometers for the past 3 days. Some maneuvers there by both satellites, the GOES 17 and the GOES 16, with some arc jet moments there. And let's take a look at the heliospheric current sheet, because some interesting stuff going on here. Check it out. The north solar polar field is now finally starting to migrate. So you can see it's sort of leaving the pole. So that's a very interesting factor right there. You can see that green blob there. That's at the north solar polar region. And it is now starting to migrate. So it's been hanging out there for a long time. We've got a long way to go through solar cycle 25. Here is the line of sight field plot. There may be a North Pole current sheet headed this way, but at the moment, Earth remains in a South Pole current sheet. Next, let's look at coronal holes. And we've got some North Pole oriented coronal holes rotating in there on the east. You can see those showing up there in green. And you can see a little bit of that north solar polar field migration happening as well on that imagery. Let's take a look at it from the SDO's perspective in 211 angstroms. You can see those pretty well-defined coronal holes there rotating in on the east side. Next, we'll move to sunspots. And I think we're going to get a new sunspot named down here in the southeast. I think we need 3,111 down there. If you folks over at NASA are watching the videos, please name this sunspot group. Yeah, likelihood of large flares is very high, as 3102 is on the limb. And this has been an active sunspot group as well. This is a huge sunspot group. All the sunspot groups actually are currently beta gamma class at least. And let's take a look at some imagery of that. Here's the SDO magnetogram for the past 24. How about the SDO intensitygram, or the continuum imagery rather? It's coming. Again, we've got a little bit of growth on this sunspot group, and a little bit of growth on this sunspot group. Besides that, things mostly stable here. Here's a zoom in. And let's move on to flaring. No spikes in the proton flux despite seeing an M-class flare yesterday. Peak flux of that flare was again 1810 universal time. That was associated with that second CME that we showed, and it should show up great in 94 angstroms. That's the last 24 hours in that wavelength from SDO. Next, a star chart. We always like to know what's going on overhead. And there's a lovely sliver of a moon up there just rising over the horizon there, on the eastern horizon there over Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. As Cygnus sets, here's the brightest intrinsic object visible from Earth, the tail of the swan known as Deneb. As Jupiter sets and Mars is around the apex of the ecliptic, that's what's going on overhead in Lehigh Valley. If you want to make your own star chart, head to in-the-sky.org, put in your zip code, and you can check it out. So here's what's going on now. It's about time for reverse werewolves to activate. Sleeping well at night, being diurnal, being generally happy, productive members of society, and not cannibalizing humans. So here's your 1 week forecast for the solar system. As we approach a new moon, it looks like tomorrow. And there's where things will be in 1 week. On October 1st, we will have a crescent waxing. So here's some coronagraph imagery from George Mason University. Looks like some data is lacking there. It's only catching part of the second CME. Don't worry, folks. We'll show you it. We've got all kinds of additional data for you here. Here's today. There's only one frame, so let's move on to the Stereo A coronagraph and the Soho-Lasco C3. Now, we paused those at 1830. Because what's interesting about this is you've got this extremely dense core, this huge, rather dense plasma filament showing up on both of those images there. And this may look like it's directed toward Earth, folks, but it's clearly not, because you can see from the Soho-Lasco C3, it's going to be way off to the west. Nowhere near the Earth is that. So let's move this back and let that play. And then you see that second CME happening also. The second one was the one associated with that M-class flare. Also not looking like it's earthly directed. So that one looks like it's off to the west. The first one looks like it's off to the east. Let's play that through one more time. Since we are responsible to show you the most comprehensive space weather and views of the closest star you'll find anywhere in the world. Also, for your added benefit, we don't propagate any nonsense, fraud, disinformation, fear-mongering, or general crap. So here's some composite imagery. Soho-Lasco C2 and C3 and the SDO 304 angstroms wavelength. Here's the full zoom out so you can see the propagation of that dense plasma filament there. Just spectacular. And also Venus coming into frame. Next, looking at plasma filaments. Now we're in Udaipur, India. Udaipur, India's ground-based solar observatory. And it's looking a little cloudy there. I'm not so sure if there are plasma filaments or not. Let's go back and check out, let's see, how about Lermonth? Let's go to Big Bear for once. Maybe it's clear over Big Bear. There you go. Quite a few plasma filaments still here on the closest star. You can see a lot of absorption features, especially in the north, a couple in the south as well. So the likelihood of coronal mass ejections remains very high, folks. Huge prominence down here in the southeast. So the probability for additional coronal mass ejections remains. We just did see one actually kick off again this morning. It's too early to get the full data on that. We may have to make another video later today on that. This is the GO 16 SUVI that lasts about 2.5 hours. So more fireworks likely to come, folks. Now, yesterday we streamed both of those CMEs. So you may not have noticed, but we're on Twitch. There's that first CME from the GO 16 SUVI. Great imagery there from the wide field of view from the GO 16. And then we also caught this one in the north, which is no less interesting. Here you can see that M-class flare and that other CME. I watched it happen in real time yesterday. And I figured I'd share. Twitch.tv/SmashOmash is the location of most of our live streams. So here's yesterday plus today from SDO in 3 wavelengths, 335, 193, and 94 angstroms. And let's blast through bonus features since we've got weather activity as well. No real significant satellite charging hazards, just some minor surface charging there around Mexico moving into the Central Pacific Ocean. Electron flux here kind of low, kind of in a moderate range here. You can see the GOES 17 recently diverging a little bit there and rising. There's the NOAA forecast for the relativistic electrons. No argument from me there. Here's the 1-year forecast. And let's take a look at the F ionosphere layer, which has been showing quite a few anomalies. So here's the vibrational frequency, the raw data. That's megahertz, millions of vibrations per second. Quite a lot of anomalies here at the moment. And we'll show you the anomalygram next. Here it comes. There's anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. And quite a lot of high-frequency anomalies, mainly, but also now some low-frequency anomalies showing up. As we're only like a day into autumn here, day and a half into autumn. And we still have a very high level of Russell-McFerrin effect caused by the acceleration of relativistic electrons in the outer Van Allen belt. Anyway, there's 10:15 universal time. Next we'll show the total electron content. Here it is over North America. Those are the most likely places for GPS errors. Here's a standard deviation model. And we'll also check and see what we see as far as anomalies go. That's anomaly from the 10-day average. Let's let it play through a second time. I like these graphics. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. So here's the worldwide total electron content view, and there's a bunch of data missing on that one. We won't spend too much time talking about that. It's the total electron content, the coupled thermosphere, ionosphere, plasmasphere electrodynamics model. Here's the latest solar intensity gram and the latest colorized magnetogram. So lots of beta gamma glass sunspot groups there. Likelihood of major flares is quite high. I would say it's still mainly at the southwest limb down here and the northeast limb up here. But those groups are all magnetically complex. Likelihood of flares and CMEs quite high. So here is our composite imagery here. This is 193 plus 171 angstroms, 2 different species of ionized iron. And that's where we will close up the space weather segment. We'll move into meteorology because there is a powerful hurricane striking Nova Scotia right now. Shout out to Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles. We hope you're doing just fine. By the way, today's hairdo was brought to you by Red Wing Blackbirds. So let's see what we've got here. We're going to start out the meteorology segment with a little bit of sea surface temperature anomaly. There's some hot water in the northern Hudson Bay there. So let's bring that out. So that's less than optimal. That'll create some additional convection there. You can see some quite warm water there. That is 9 degrees Fahrenheit above normal for this time of year. Anyway, that's the state of affairs at the moment there. Quite strong winds there. The low just on the northern portion of Nova Scotia right now. We'll show you a little more on that momentarily. Here are the wind maps of the eastern world. That's the surface wind scenario. Here are the jet streams of the east. Jet streams of the western world, the Americas. Back to surface winds. We showed some 45-foot waves there on both the Instagram page and the Twitch channel. I mean the Twitter, yes, Twitter and Instagram. There are the surface winds of the central world, and there are the jet streams of this side of the planet. Shout out to our viewers from all around the world. Once again, congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Here's your weather.gov map. Weather.gov. If your county's lit, click your county. We can't go over all of those, but check it out. Some frost advisories there for New York, Vermont, and some for Pennsylvania. Yowzers. And let's take a look at some forecasts here, since we've got some extreme low temperatures showing up. This is your temperature anomaly forecast based on the GFS model in degrees Celsius. So there you go, there is that. And let's take a look at the wind and pressure forecast for the North Atlantic over the same period and the same model. So once again, it's a GFS model for 72 hours showing wind and pressure. And there's how you can expect that low to move. It's going to weaken quite quickly here as it moves over land. It's going to stop loitering, but it is indeed going to go over the warmest water there, so no real surprise there, as that's going to be the point of highest convection. And let's also show the total accumulated precipitation forecast. Since there's obviously a little bit of heavy rain there over Sunnyvale Trailer Park. So it looks like the rain forecast actually dropped a little bit here. Maybe a bunch of that rain has already fallen, but that's your total accumulated precipitation for the GFS model over the next 72 hours. Precipitation totals shown here in inches. Let's continue on. How about a current satellite image? Here's the windy.com composite satellite imagery as the sun rises over the cloud tops. Some spectacular images there of the North Atlantic. Yowzers. Shout out to Frankie McDonald. Here's your NASA GOES lightning mapper. A little bit of lightning there in Hudson Bay, not too much. Let's take a look at a real-time lightning map from lightningmaps.org. Check it out next time you hear thunder. Convince the natives that you're Thor or Odin or something like that. Looks like we've got some lightning in France, as well as in Eastern Europe. One lone lightning strike happening there in northwestern France. Anyway, that's your real-time lightning map. No terrestrial strikes in the U.S. at the moment. Let's continue on, as we don't want the video to be too long. So here is your U.S. Doppler Radar Map. We're going to show the zoomed out view to show all 50 states. And we'll focus on the lower 48 for the remainder of the video, as Halifax is a little bit moist and a little bit windy. Next, one more pause for station identification. Thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network least busted name in news. Here's your shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog. Here's your water vapor map. Cold air making its way down into Pennsylvania right now. It's quite chilly here in eastern Pennsylvania. We're located in Lehigh Valley. Let us know in the comments where you're located. And here's your recap US Doppler radar. Shortwave radiation satellite. And there's water vapor. Once again, thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network least busted name of news. And may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video are not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network least busted name in news.